Hi, everybody, and welcome to today's session for Get Your Business More Visible on Google. My name is Daryl, and I'm a trainer for the free skills training program, the Google Digital Garage, and I'm super excited to be delivering today's session in partnership with Wenta. I'll give you a little bit of introduction about who I am. My name is Daryl. I come from an incredibly diverse background within sales, within recruitment, hospitality, learning and development, and of course within tech. But I dedicate the majority of my time to help close the digital skills gap that is so prevalent in our world today through amazing initiatives just like this one. But I'm not here alone. We're very, very fortunate to have Kirsty with us here today, who is also a Google Digital Garage trainer. And if you are viewing us through a laptop or a desktop, she can be identified just on the right-hand side, and she'll have a little blue spanner next to her name. If you are viewing us through a mobile device, there's a very good chance that the chat will be just below us. And as mentioned, Kirsty will have that little blue spanner next to her name. So if you haven't already, please go ahead and say hello to Kirsty, which leads me on to my next housekeeping tip is if you'd like to get involved with today's chat, we would love for you to get involved. In order for you to do so, you would be required to have a YouTube account. It's relatively easy to get set up. Once you're all set up, you'll be able to fire over those questions to myself and Kirsty, and we look forward to any questions, any queries, any hellos, anything that you can pass across to us. Next up, well, I should have mentioned this at the very beginning, but if you're having any problems hearing me or seeing me today, please go ahead and refresh your browser. It normally irons out any potential problems. Next up, if you would like to know a little bit more or would like to learn more, this particular live session is part of a broader offering from the Google Digital Garage. So I hugely encourage you to click in the link in the description below. It'll take you to the website and give you a plethora of information, online courses, and many, many more live webinars very similar to this one. The last housekeeping tip is that if you would like to have the closed captions, or in other words, the subtitles for this particular live training, all you'll need to do if you're on a laptop or a desktop is hover over, put your mouse over the window, over the video, and the menu should pop up at the bottom right-hand side. What I'd like you to do is click onto the gear cog, in other words, the setting icon. Once you tap onto that, you can then find the closed caption option. Should be a rectangle with 2 CCs in it. Once you click that, you should be able to get the subtitles and follow along as we go through throughout today's session. But now the housekeeping tips are out of the way, I want to go ahead and jump in to see a couple of hellos. We've got Juicy Fits, hello to you. We got Mel Lewis, big welcome to you. We got Chris also calling in. We got George, hello to you. We got Jelena, hello to you. We got Rachel, we got Pardeep, we got Anthony. That is wonderful. Keep those coming in. If you haven't introduced yourself already, let us know where you're tuning in from and any other information you'd like to share with us. But we're going to hopefully have an engaging session for the whole 60 minutes. But you may be thinking now, well, now the housekeeping tips out of the way, now you know who I am, now you know where to find Kirsty, what are we going to be covering over the next 60 minutes? Well, we're going to break it down to 3 basic topics. And this is something that we do, or we like to do for pretty much all of the Google Digital Garage virtual sessions, which is number 1, we're going to jump into how do we understand how customers find your business? And to be perfectly honest, this is probably the main focus for myself and should be for you as well, because essentially your customers have all the answers. But what we're going to do today is we're going to run a little bit of an exercise to put all of you in your customer's shoes and start thinking about what are your customers going to be thinking? What is the journey that they have to do or they have to go through in order to find you to purchase your services or your products? Then we're going to jump into how do we then build your presence on Google search and maps. And it's not as complicated as you may seem. They're pretty much combining. So when it comes to Google search and maps, it is going to be a shared effort that we're going to see coming across. Then last but not least, we're going to learn how we can optimize your visibility on Google. Before we move on, just to let you know, for those who like to take lots of notes and write down everything, just a little bit of a peace of mind. This particular live training will be, there will be a recording for approximately 24 hours. All you'll need to do is click on the same link that you used to join today's session, and you'll be able to rewind, fast forward, and really absorb the information at your own pace, because sometimes these live trainings can be incredibly overwhelming, but that's good to know so you can sit back, be engaged, take the notes if you want to, but know that you'll be able to rewind and fast forward at a later point, and the recording will be available for approximately 24 hours. Next up, if you are still struggling, or maybe you just like to have a little bit more help on a certain topic, well, you're in luck. Google is offering free one-to-one mentoring sessions to small businesses and charities throughout the UK. I am super proud to be a part of this, along with Kirsty, who's currently in the chat, along with many other digital experts ready and waiting to help you, whether it be getting your business more visible on Google. Maybe you're looking to implement a social media strategy. Maybe you're looking to build up your CV or your cover letter, whatever it may be. Please go ahead and take down this link if you're a small business or charity in the UK. The link is g.co/UK mentoring, and the wonderful Kirsty has already popped that into the chat. So please make use of that. And if it's not for you, please pass that link on to somebody that you know that would hugely benefit from this amazing initiative, and hopefully will either see yourself or somebody else that you passed on to this amazing initiative. With that being said, the housekeeping tips are out of the way. I've seen a plethora of hellos into the chat. We got George calling in from the exotic Hertfordshire. We got Mel calling in from Boreham Wood, Herts as well. We've got Pardeep also calling in from London. And we got Summer saying hello as well. So please keep Kirsty on her toes, because we are going to hopefully dive into some exercises and some activities. But before we do, let's start off the session with a couple of bold statistics that you may or may not know, is that 3 out of 4 online customers use search engines to find a business. That's 75%. That's definitely me. When I'm looking for a business, where do I go? Which leads on to the second statistic, which is 82% of smartphone users reportedly routinely conduct local mobile searches. Now, let's face it. All of you at home probably have your smartphone at arm's reach. You either maybe even watching this live session on your mobile device, or you have it very, very close. With that in mind, we have to now start thinking about putting ourselves in the customer shoes. If you are all looking to get your business more visible on Google, think about how are your customers going to be looking. Where are they going to be going? Are they going to be going on Google? Are they going to be using a mobile device? Are they going to be using a desktop? These are the type of things that we need to start thinking about, because in order to be more visible on Google, we need to understand where's that visibility going to come from. So we're going to jump into the first objective, the topic, should we say, is how do customers find you? That is a great starting point. And what we're going to do is we're going to start off with an exercise. And this exercise is a really fun exercise, considering I'm assuming that many of you have your smartphones very, very close to you. I want you all to imagine that you're going to have pizza for lunch or for dinner, depending on where you're tuning in from the world. Let's just say for dinner. You'd like to go buy some pizza. What I'd like you to do is search for a place to go buy that pizza. And then I want you to, while you are searching for that pizza, and it doesn't really matter what you're going to use. It could be Google, it could be another platform. I'd like you to share what is that process. So while you are all looking for that pizza, I want you to pop into the chat, let myself and Kirsty know what pizza you chose and then why. Because say, for example, I'm going to look for a pizza, and most likely I'm googly for Google. I'm probably going to jump onto Google and just type in pizza near me. And when I do that, there are going to be a plethora of pizzerias and restaurants and information that Google's going to provide to me. But now I need to sift through that and find out something that I want to buy. Do I want to buy a pizza that's in a town 20 miles away? Probably not. Do I want to buy a pizza from a place that has no online presence and just has no reviews and no information? Probably not. So think of those factors. While you are looking for a pizza near you, I want you to mentally think about why you chose that particular pizzeria. So to put that into a question for you is, I'd like you to answer the 2 questions of how do you search for that product or service online? And then which factors help you decide which listings to select? How did you search? Did you use a search engine platform? Did you use a application, for example, like maybe you use TripAdvisor? But you are all looking for a pizza, and probably by the end of this, you're all going to be hungry for pizza. But please, if you haven't found a pizza, pop it into the chat. Let myself and Kirsty know what was that process. I'll give you my rundown when I look for a pizza. I'll most likely jump into Google. I will type in pizza near me. Google will then populate the most relevant, up-to-date information for me. And then I'll have a list of pizzerias that are near to me. But there's a couple of things that I'll look at. First and foremost, I'll look, do they have any reviews, for example? That is a huge driving factor for me to purchase that pizza. Do they have reviews at all? Or do they have any pictures? Or maybe I don't really want to drive very far. I want to make sure that the pizza is going to be close to me because I'm hungry right now. Or I probably will be this evening. And I don't really want to go out of my way to buy that pizza. Now, while I'm talking about this is probably something similar for you, but you may be thinking, Daryl, why are we talking about pizza? Why are we going through this process? Because essentially what all of you are doing are putting yourselves in the customer's shoes, understanding that there is a process in order to find a pizza. And if you are a business, charity, organization watching today, you either have a product or a service that you have to offer. Now, how does that customer find that product or that service is crucial to you being more visible on Google. So we have a couple coming in already, which is fantastic. Thank you so much, Kirsty, for popping those into the chat. We have George. He's selected Google. He's gone to Google. He's typed in pizza near me, and he's found a Pizza Hut. And he chose it because it's a recognized brand. So it's something that there is credibility there. There is a trustworthiness that if he buys from Pizza Hut, he's recognized it and maybe he purchased or bought that pizza before. Next up, we got Mel. Search for pizza near me. Probably prompted by our own search term on the screen, most likely, Mel. So we gave you a little bit of a nudge there. We got Kirsty K. I use Google Maps and I'm going to go to Old Domino's. We got Enjoy the Pause Holiday Home Pause. Lovely, that name. Pizza in Chester. Looked at Google Maps. See, we're starting to find that Google Maps is a huge part of this, especially if you are a physical location. Looked at what was open now, very, very important. We don't want to go to a pizzeria that's closed. Ranked at highest review stars, chose pizza, and then Mel found one that has a household name with a 50% discount, no brainer. Completely agree with you, Mel. So now we're starting to add in some incentives. Now we decided on locality. We decided on a discount. Now, this may sound like an incredibly easy exercise, but what I recommend that all of you do in the future is think about what are your customers, or what are your customers, who are your customers, and what are those steps that your customers need to take in order to find you, which will lead me on to the next one, which is the customer online search journey. Now, the customer search behavior has changed due to the rise of mobile devices becoming more reliant on these devices. And let's face it, when we want to have information, we want it now. We don't have time to wait. If we want a pizza, we want to find out where that pizza is, but we want to find it immediately. But when we put ourselves in the customer's mindset, there's going to be a couple of phases that we need to go through. Now, this is a very basic layout of a customer journey, but we've all been through this at this very moment in time. We've got a couple more there coming in before I jump into this. One from Rachel. I would pay attention to the reviews, the photos. Definitely if they've got melting cheese or some really nice ingredients, is really going to make you salivate and make your tummy grumble. Even while I'm talking about it, I'm getting hungry. And I can receive the pizza at home. 100%, Rachel, you want to know that you can get this pizza within a couple of minutes, or maybe not a couple of minutes, but maybe within the hour. Next up, we've got Maria. I wanted a pizza with more family-run business. That is a very, very important thing that you just touched on there. Now, you're starting to define certain things about a pizzeria. You're looking for a family-run business. There could be 5 pizzerias near you. One could be Domino's, one could be Pizza Hut, very large organizations. But Maria is actually looking for something a little bit more quaint, a little bit more family-orientated. I found Solo do Oreo, which I've already used. The feedback was mostly positive. So again, reliant on those feedbacks. So thanks everybody for following along with those exercises. And thank you so much for contributing within the chat. But now we're going to come back to that customer journey. All of us started our search journey, whether it was going to be on Google Maps, whether it's going to be on Google Search, maybe it's going to be on another platform. While we are searching, there's going to be certain factors that you've all raised the attention of, which could be that it's the locality, it could be the relevance, it could be the reviews, the trustworthiness, are they credible? All of those are going to fall into the decision because we are overwhelmed with the amount of decisions that we have, but there's going to be a certain path that we take. And this is going to be unique for every business. It doesn't matter which business you are, which sector you're in. A customer needs to find a business, but there's going to be certain decisions that they're going to take in order to reach out and buy that service or their products, which leads to the last point, which is finally the engagement. The final part is about the engagement, and we can expect to be able to get what they want right now. The rise of open now searches has really, really taken off. As shown, customers are more impatient than ever, and we need to support them where we can require that engagement quickly. So as a business, charity, organization watching today, if they do find you, do they find the information that they're looking for? If they don't, that's something area we can start developing on. Because maybe after today's session, you're going to be jumping into your online presence overall on Google and start to see, well, if I find my business, do I have the right information there in order for my customers to buy from me? Do I have my contact number? Do I have the opening hours? Do I have those photos that we mentioned earlier before? So what is really, really important is to understand, why is the search so important? So when it comes to the age-old concept, if you build it, they will come, it doesn't really deem true in the online age. We need to be found, and some way we need to be found through Google. So I am not going to spend hours on end talking through the algorithm and what Google is about. We have a wonderful video that we're going to go ahead and play for you. Once we watch this video, having a good understanding of how Google search works will hopefully give you the knowledge to start improving your online presence within Google to start being more visible. So I'm going to go ahead and stay quiet and play this video. I will see you back very, very shortly.
Every day, billions of people come here with questions about all kinds of things. Sometimes we even get questions about Google search itself, like how this whole thing actually works. And while this is a subject entire books have been written about, there's a good chance you're in the market for something a little more concise. So let's say it's getting close to dinner and you want a recipe for lasagna. You've probably seen this before, but let's go a little deeper. Since the beginning, back when the homepage looked like this, Google has been continuously mapping the web, hundreds of billions of pages, to create something called an index. Think of it as the giant library we look through whenever you do a search for lasagna or anything else. Now, the word lasagna shows up a lot on the web. Pages about the history of lasagna, articles by scientists whose last name happened to be lasagna, stuff other people might be looking for. But if you're hungry, randomly clicking through millions of links is no fun. This is where Google's ranking algorithms come into play. First, they try to understand what you're looking for, so they can be helpful even if you don't know exactly the right words to use or if your spelling is a little off. Then they sift through millions of possible matches in the index and automatically assemble a page that tries to put the most relevant information up top for you to choose from. Okay, now we have some results. But how did the algorithms actually decide what made it onto the first page? There are hundreds of factors that go into ranking search results, so let's talk about a few of them. You may already know that pages containing the words you search for are more likely to end up at the top. No surprise there. But the location of those words, like in the page's title or in an image's caption, those are factors too. There's a lot more to ranking than just words. Back when Google got started, we looked at how pages linked to each other to better understand what pages were about and how important and trustworthy they seemed. Today, linking is still an important factor. Another factor is location, where a search happens. Because if you happen to be in Ormea, Italy, you might be looking for information about their annual lasagna festival. But if you're in Omaha, Nebraska, you probably aren't. When a web page was uploaded is an important factor too. Pages published more recently often have more accurate information, especially in the case of a rapidly developing news story. Of course, not every site on the web is trying to be helpful. Just like with robocalls on your phone or spam in your email, there are a lot of sites that only exist to scam, and every day scammers upload millions more of them. So just because instantvirusdownload.net lists the words lasagna recipe 400 times, that doesn't mean it's going to help you make dinner. We spend a lot of time trying to stay one step ahead of tricks like these, making sure our algorithms can recognize scam sites and flag them before they make it to your search results page. So let's review. billions of times a day, whenever someone searches for lasagna, or resume writing tips, or how to swaddle a baby, or anything else, Google's software locates all the potentially relevant results on the web, removes all the spam, and ranks them based on hundreds of factors like keywords, links, location, and freshness. Okay, good time to take a breath. This last part is about how we make changes to search, and it's important. Since 1998, when Google went online, people seem to have found our results pretty helpful. But the web is always changing, and people are always searching for new things. In fact, 1 in every 7 searches is for something that's never been typed into the search box before, by anyone, ever. So we're always working on updates to search, thousands every year. Which brings up a big question. How do we decide whether a change is making search more helpful? Well, one of the ways we evaluate potential updates to search is by asking people like you. Every day, thousands of search quality raters look at samples of search results side by side, then give feedback about the relevance and reliability of the information. To make sure those evaluations are consistent, the raters follow a list of search quality evaluator guidelines. Think of them as our publicly available guide to what makes a good result good. Oh, and one last thing to remember. We use responses from raters to evaluate changes, but they don't directly impact how search results are ranked. So there you have it. Every time you click search, our algorithms are analyzing the meaning of the words in your search, matching them to the content on the web, understanding what content is most likely to be helpful and reliable, and then automatically putting it all together in a neatly organized page designed to get you the info you need. All in, 0.81 seconds? Wow. Anyone else ready for dinner? Interested in learning more? We've got a whole website dedicated to how search works. Just click right here. Want to read the search quality rater guidelines for yourself? Click right here.
I truly hope that you found that incredibly useful. I did see a wonderful question coming in from Ali, and I'll be answering that very shortly, but hopefully you got a lot of those, you got a lot of the answer from that particular video. And Kosie's popped that link into the chat. So please go ahead and save that link, bookmark it, share it with a friend, share it with a family member, share with whoever you would like to hear more about the Google search, because it's a great way to understand more about how Google search works. Now, that was only a short video and there's a lot more to it. So I highly recommend you click onto those links at the end of the video to learn more. But when it comes down to search, are customers searching for your products and services online? If you're not there when they're searching for a product or a service they provide, it's a missed opportunity. It's very much like if you were to go shopping in a bread aisle and there was no bread. So while someone is searching for something, if you are not currently there, it could be that mixed opportunity. So being there is really, really important, especially when your search is specific or localized in a specific area. But to help you understand a little bit more about what people are searching for, I'm going to introduce you to an amazing tool that is called Google Trends. Now, what Google Trends is going to allow you to do is find out what people are searching for within a certain country, within a certain time frame. Now, it's not going to tell you how many people searched a specific term, but it's going to give you almost a percentage on the popularity of that particular term from 0 to 100. So, for example, we could select plumbers near me in the United States in the last 5 years. We could start to see how popular has that term been. Within Google Trends, you can start comparing those keywords to really refine and understand how popular certain keywords are, or if there's any less popular keywords. How is this going to be useful to all of you? Remember, the purpose of the beginning of this first session, the first topic, is really to focus on what are your customers searching for? What are your customers doing? And if you can start to learn more about what they're searching for or what's more popular within these trends, hopefully you can start improving the content within your online presence, whether it be a website, whether it be the content on a profile, for example, but it all comes down to relevant information. So I'm going to jump into a couple of questions, and I'd like to draw their attention back to Ali. Ali, thank you so much for the question, which is, when the location is not relevant or important for a business, such as a consulting service, what other aspects to concentrate in terms of visibility on Google? Well, if we had to summarize this, of course, the locality is important, but the other important aspect is the relevance. So how relevant is the content that you have on your website or your profile relevant to what the customer is searching for? So we highly recommend that you keep note of that video, click into the links after the video to start learning more about what are the important factors when it comes to Google and being more visible. So with that being said, I don't see any other questions coming in as of yet, but feel free. As I'm going along, if you have any questions or queries, please pop it into the chat. Myself and Kirsty would love to know. And if there's any other great questions, Kirsty will pop those questions onto me and I'll answer those as we go along. So keep that in mind. We're going to jump into the next part, which is where to build presence on Google. This is going to be a great overview, and we're going to jump into something that hopefully you are all familiar with, which is called an SERP, which is an acronym that stands for Search Engine Results Page. If we've all done a Google search at some point, we have come across this screen, which is going to include the number one is a search query. In order for Google or any search engine for that matter to work or to populate any information, you or your customer needs to input keywords to find out what is the query, what are they looking for. Once you or your customer enters a search query, Google can then populate the most relevant, up-to-date information as described in the video. Just below that search query, you'll have something called adverts, so paid text or shopping adverts. Now, we're not going to be discussing paid advertisement on this particular session today, but if you'd like to learn more about how to get started with digital advertising, click on the link in the description below. There are many, many more live sessions in the future, which will help guide you to learn more about how you can put your company out there from a paid perspective. But just below those paid advertisements, you have something called an organic listing, which I'll talk more about in a second. Everybody that has a website will have an organic listing that is publicly available. And then we have something called the business listing. And that's how it is structured on the search engine results page. If we break those down to three main areas, number one, we're going to have something called organic search, which refers to a website that can show up on a search engine results page and are not paid advertisements. Organic search results are matched to the searcher's search query through algorithms measured by relevance and authority. So again, coming back to your question, Ali, there are the locality may not be the main factor, but for you, if you offer consultant services, it's going to come down to relevance and authority. Next up, we have something called a business listing. Local business listings are online portfolios that contain the core information that your customers will require to make a decision if they'd like to purchase from you, call you, go to your website, but basically give you the information that they need. Last but not least, we have paid search, as mentioned before. Not going to be discussing that into detail today, but how do you now think about getting your business to the very first page on Google by using paid advertisements, which we'll talk about briefly. But first and foremost, we're going to talk about search engine optimization. Search engine optimization, also known as SEO, an acronym that is very popular within the digital marketing realm. It is the practice of increasing the quantity and quality of traffic to your website through organic search results. It helps your website show up in non-paid results. It makes it easy for people to find you when they are searching for something of what you offer. Now, to give you a little bit of insight, if we watch the video, but Google has more than 200 signals to determine how a page ranks. Let's talk about some of the most important aspects of SEO. Content is the key to search engine optimization. The goal is to include as much information on your website to help Google understand what is your business about. Because if Google understands more about what your business is about, they can start projecting that to potential customers. The search engine's primary goal is to help people find what they are looking for. But when it comes to search engine optimization, please don't feel like you can just stuff a whole lot of keywords into your website and make it hopefully work. It doesn't work that way. It comes down to a lot of resilience and improving that content to make it more relevant. And remember, it's all about updating that as often as possible to keep it relevant. And of course, make sure we up that authority, should we say. So when someone visits Google and types in the word or phrase, a search query, a list of relevant results will appear. Organic results appear in the center well of the page. So to summarize this, An organic listing is for somebody that has a website that they have publicly posted on the internet that's available to the public. If you have done that, you will have an organic listing. That could be on the 500th page, it could be on the 1000th page, but we use search engine optimization to make sure we bring that link or that website higher ranks on, hopefully on number one on page of Google. So a couple of tips for success is run keyword search. So keyword research is really, really important. Now, when it comes to keywords, I want to put a question out there to everyone is why do you think a tightly themed keyword list is so important to a business, charity, or an organization? If it's obvious, please pop it in. If it's not obvious, that's okay too. There is no such thing as a wrong answer. We're looking to ideate ideas. Why do you think a tightly themed keyword list is so important to a business, charity, or an organization? While I get a couple of those dripping in, I'm going to jump into the next one, which is publish useful, high quality content. And that may be like, well, that's so obvious. Well, a lot of businesses don't do this. When it comes to publishing useful, high quality content, we need to make sure that we are posting content that is relevant and valuable to your customers. Last but not least, make your web pages search friendly. I'm not going to go too much into detail with this, but in order to think about the two main areas will be when it comes to your website, is your title and your meta description are the most important because the search engine uses those to generate an actual search result. So the title of your website will be the very first thing, the first link, the heading line, and then the meta description will be the few short sentences that follow. Then we're going to think about those keywords. We've got one already. I think we have someone in terms of why keywords are so important. Pardeep appeals to a niche customer based in the market for their goods or their services. I love that. Anybody else get any ideas? Because keywords are very, very important and we need to have a huge focus, which is the next point of today's session, which is when it comes to keywords, we are becoming research obsessed. With the search, people can get really specific and still have confidence that they've got useful information. Let's take shoes, for example. Yes, people want to learn more about the best ones, and some may be very particular. So let's say, for example, I'm on the beginning of my customer journey and I'm on the search process. Remember earlier I spoke about search. It's going to be decision and then engagement. During the search phase is when the keywords come into play. I jump into Google and I start typing in a couple of words. I'm looking for some trainers. If I type in trainers, Google's just going to show me a whole lot of trainers. It could be from different brands, from different locations, from different shops, from different retail shops, but it's going to contain trainers. But then as I'm starting to search, I'm going to start identifying specifically what I'm looking for. I'm actually looking for best running trainers for flat feet because I have flat feet. And if you are a business that provides running trainers for flat feet, we need to make sure that you incorporate those keywords into your campaigns or your content. Next up, shoes for nurses. Now, there's probably lots of different shoes for nurses, but maybe I'm looking for durable shoes for nurses. And so on and so forth with trial running shoes and comfortable shoes. There's going to be short keywords, which is going to be the beginning of your search phase of your journey. Then as you started to search, you start to refine what you're actually looking for. And then you start typing in the keywords that's going to hopefully populate the information so you can find what you are looking for. And you as a business, charity, or organization are or need to think about these keywords to close that gap. You have a customer, you have Google search, and you have your business. What's going to connect you are those keywords. So I kind of gave you that answer in terms of why are keywords so important. One from George there. You need to know and understand what your customers are searching for along with the volume of searches. I couldn't agree with you more, George. Great point. So moving along, I would highly recommend to help support you understand more about how your website is performing. There's an amazing tool called Google Search Console. The link is in the description, in the bottom of the slide, which is g.co/search console. What this is going to allow you to do, the way I like to think about it very simply, is Google Search Console is kind of like the baby monitor for your website on the internet. What it's going to do, two primary functions. It monitors how you are performing in Google search, and it shows how Google sees your site. And what is even more beneficial is if you connect this with your website. Let's say, for example, I search for trainers, for example, and you are a shoe shop, and I type in trainers for flat feet, for example, and then I come across your website and I click onto your website. Google Search Console is going to go, hey, somebody found your website using these keywords. How valuable is that type of information? It's very valuable, because now what Google Search Console is going to tell you is what are the most popular keywords that people are using to find you. And once you define what those keywords are, we're going to start using those keywords more effectively when you're looking to put yourself out there. So next up, we're going to search engine optimization is all about increasing the search visibility for your businesses and serve their communities face to face. So how do we do this? Well, we're going to jump into my Google business profile. So mobile search has steadily been on the rise. As mentioned, many of us have smartphones and we're using it on a daily basis. But now, in order to add a business listing, remember there was 3 different areas to find your business online, which was an organic listing, which is something that you've posted on the internet that's publicly available, a website. Then you have paid search. We can talk more about that in other sessions. Click in the link in the description below. And then the last point was creating a business listing. And a business listing is there's 4 ways to create it. Well, what you want to do is download the app and sign into business.google.com. You want to add or select that business, enter the information, and then verify that listing. It is simple as that. 1, 2, 3, 4. But in order to do this, we need to create a listing and make sure people know that you are active. Customers are searching for local businesses. Every month, Google helps drive more than 100 billion, that's with a B, 100 billion visits to business websites, more than 7 million phone calls, and more than 2 billion direction requests. So when you look to create this business listing, you're looking to provide the core information that your customers will require. For example, update the business information. What is the description? What is your business about? Maybe even add photos. People love photos. And of course, that has probably been a driving factor for many of you when you were searching for a pizza. You want to know, what does that pizzeria look like? What does the pizza look like? So make sure you update with photos. Next up, maybe you got a pristine location and you want to improve the customer journey. Well, they're going to find you on this Google Maps, Google Business profile. They're going to find you. They're going to click on the virtual tour. They're going to have a virtual tour while they're looking at on their mobile device. When they get to the actual location, they're going to feel like, wow, I feel like I've already been here before. Again, improving that customer journey. Last but not least, always, when I say always respond to those reviews. And Google Business Profile is a great way to house those reviews. It's a great point to everybody. Hey, leave us a review on Google Business Profile, and then you can start developing that credibility with all those factors that you found when you were looking for a pizza, for example. Then we have something called search engine marketing. And as mentioned, we're not going to dive deep into search engine marketing today. However, there are many other live trainings in the link in the description below. But search advertising is where an advertiser will only pay when a user clicks onto an ad. Advertisers bid for keywords that are relevant to their target audience, and the ads appear in search engine results page, the acronym SERP. Where can these adverts appear? Well, from a desktop or a laptop point of view, remember, when we are going to the SERP, search engine results page, when a user, yourself or a customer, enters a search query, and if those words, you've bid for those keywords, your business will pop up on the very, very top, of course, according to the bidding. Then from a mobile perspective, it's going to be just below that search query. Google Ads is a Google advertising platform that allows you to create search, display, and even YouTube ad campaigns. And we highly recommend, if you had a little bit of budget to put towards your advertising, please go ahead and click in the link in the description below. Alternatively, please book into those one-to-one mentoring sessions and you'll have a mentor to guide you along the way. There's 3 steps to create the search ad, which is jump into Google Ads, create a campaign, pick the right keywords. And I think we've had a few answers in terms of why keywords are so important. One from Pradeep, one from George, but mainly comes down to the fact that we need to know, you need to know and understand what your customers are searching for, along with the volume of the searches. So when it comes to contributing some money towards these adverts, make sure that you have a solid understanding of these keywords and what your customers are using. So when you create this campaign within Google Ads, you incorporate the keywords that are most relevant and the most popular and generally the most used within your sector or your area. And then last but not least, we need to write a compelling ad. Now, when it comes to a compelling ad, I would love to talk more about this, but the average human attention span is close to 8 seconds. Some even say 3 seconds. So when we are looking to contribute money towards advertising, we need to make sure we can capture the attention of your customers. And we could put buy one, get one free, for example, or we can add a discount. But the most important thing comes back to what George said. If we understand what our customers are looking for, then we can incorporate that within the advert. If they're looking for example, as someone asked earlier, they're looking for a more family-oriented pizza. We need to make sure that that is part of our keywords and that when we match the headline of that advert to what the customers are looking for, there will be a higher chance that they click on that advert, follow that journey, and hopefully purchase or buy from you. So with that being said, we're going to jump into the next bit of questions. I haven't seen any questions come in as of yet, but if you have any questions, please don't be shy. Pop into the chat. If not, Kirsty's probably typing away and answering them all away. She is, which keep up the good job, Kirsty. Thank you so much. Keep her on her toes. But if you don't have any questions, myself, Kirsty, and the team, we would love to know your feedback. And if you'd like to give some feedback on today's session on how much you enjoyed it or what you liked about it, please go to goo.gle/digital garage feedback. Kirsty will pop the link at some point, maybe towards the end of today's session, where you'll fill out a form. It'll take you 2 to 3 minutes, and we would love to know what you thought. So with that being said, no questions of yet. We're going to jump into the last part of today's session. We have about 18 minutes left, so let's sit tight. As I mentioned, attention spans are low. If you've managed to stay attentive from the beginning until now, a huge kudos to you. Let's lock it in. Let's jump into the last part, which is boosting your presence on Google. And I'd like to remind you all what we've done so far. Within a short period of time, within 40 minutes, we started off by understanding our customers. Not only did we understand our customers, you all put yourself in a customer's shoes. So customer's shoe or shoes, either or. But for you, I want you to continuously do that. Always understand your customers. Once we do that, they have all the answers. Then once you establish more about who your customers are, what is that journey, then we jumped into how do we now get more visible on Google. And remember, there's 3 different areas on Google, which was the organic listing, which is available to everyone. There's going to be an organic listing for you on Google if you have publicly posted your website on the internet. Second of all, there was paid advertisements where you can bid for keywords and get at the very first page on Google. And then lastly, there was that Google business profile, which will allow you to create it at no cost, only take you a little bit of time to get set up. But that has how far we've come so far. Now that we've established that, we now want to boost your presence. How do we do that? Well, first and foremost, I want to introduce you to another amazing tool called Test My Site. There was some couple of bold statistics at the very beginning of today's session, and we mentioned the rise of mobile devices is quite prominent in our lives. Let's face it, it's almost been a part of our body. If that's the case, and we understand our customers are searching through mobile devices, I would like you all to test your website. If you have a website, I'd like you to go to g.co/test my site. Pretty sure Kirsty will pop the link at some point. Once you arrive at that site, it's going to prompt you to enter your URL or your website. So in other words, www.google.com. Once you input your website URL, you're then going to click go or whichever the button is. Once it does, then it's going to populate and give you an understanding of how long it takes for somebody to open up your website, on example, for a 4G connection. It's going to give you an estimate of 3 seconds, 4 seconds, 5 seconds. But I don't know about you, but if I'm looking for something on the internet, regardless if I'm walking down the street or if I'm on broadband, if I'm looking and I click onto a website and it loads and it's loading and it's loading, how long do you think you're going to wait for it to load? Where you know that if you click on one of the competitors and it opens instantly, who do you think is going to get that sale? Who do you think the customer is going to go to? So when it comes down to that customer journey, we can do the most amazing things to enhance your search engine optimization and dedicate to learn more about keywords. But if they do find you and they click onto your website and it takes too long to load, all that effort could potentially go out the door because they can't find, they're taking too long. So highly recommend you use this tool. It will allow you to speed up or give you some recommendations on how you can speed up your website. It'll even give you a little bit of insight in terms of the UX, which is the user experience, and may give you a couple of recommendations to improve that. So I highly recommend you use that. Next up, we got edit your details, add photos, respond to reviews, and add managers. So when it comes to your Google business profile, make sure you edit your details. Change any photos on a regular basis. And remember, it all comes down to relevance, prominence, and of course, authority. Then respond to reviews, whether they're good or bad. Now, we don't like getting bad reviews, but it's very, very important that you publicly respond to those reviews. And then if you'd like to dive deeper, try to create a two-way conversation with that individual who left a bad review, for example, or maybe even one with the good reviews. Last but not least, some of you are probably incredibly busy running the business or running the charity. So maybe you'd like to have somebody to manage this for you. You can actually add a manager who can keep this information updated on a daily, on a weekly basis. Once you have populated the information within Google Business Profile, for example, added the description, opening times, closing times, photos, videos, any information you can provide. And remember, more information is always better. More information that you can provide will give your customers more information to make the decision whether they'd like to buy your products or services. But let's say, for example, you don't have a website and you're looking to get more visible on Google, and you are going to create a website at some point, but you've been kind of steering away from it because it's too much money or it's too much of an investment right now, or you just don't want to do it. Well, what you can do is after you created your Google Business Profile, you've claimed it, you've verified it, then what you can do is click on a button inside the dashboard. So when you go to your Google Business Profile dashboard, there will be a button that is website. When you click onto that website, it's going to take all the information that you have provided within your Google Business Profile and make a website for free using something called Google Sites. Now, once you've done that, it's going to make a website and you are free to move images around and restructure that website in a way you would like it to be. And for those who are thinking, wow, that sounds very, very technical, Daryl. Well, it's not. When you click into creating a website and you're in Google Sites, if you are familiar with Google Docs or Google Slides or any type of interface or word processor where you move words around and you move pictures around, you should feel quite comfortable creating a website in Google Sites, which is essentially what that will do. Then what we want to do is you want to optimize your business listing by adding the opening hours. Now, I don't want to talk too extensively about this, but to give an example, just after the pandemic, I needed to get out the house, just like many of us I did. And I wanted to go to a coffee shop. So I wanted to grab my laptop and I wanted to go to a coffee shop. So what did I do? I did what we did at the very beginning. I didn't say pizza near me. I said coffee shop near me. And then I found a new coffee shop and they said they were open until 9. So I thought, you know what? It's about a 10-minute walk, 15-minute walk. I'm going to grab my laptop, get out the house and go to that coffee shop. But what happened when I got there? It was closed. That's a really bad experience for me. I've never been back to that coffee shop. Now, I don't want to hold it against them, but we have to realize is that when you are putting yourself making yourself visible on Google, you are visible 24 hours. 24 hours, 7 days a week, 365 days of the year. If you are available to see that information, we need to make sure that information is correct. So correct opening hours, add photos to attract visitors, and that could be a driving factor for many people. And there's some statistics behind that photos will capture the people's attention. And remember, try to build up trust by asking for reviews as much as possible. Then you can use posts to tell customers what's new. The way I like to think about Google Business Profile, it's kind of like a user-friendly social media platform that will allow you to give your customers the core information that they provide. So if you are currently on social media, whether it be Instagram, LinkedIn, Facebook, TikTok, wherever you are, maybe many of you are posting on these platforms. And if you are posting on these platforms, what I ask you all to do is keep your Google Business Profile in mind. Because if I'm going to post on Instagram and say, we have a new star member of the team, and you got a wonderful picture of them, and you click enter and it's on Instagram. Fantastic. That's cool. Then you post more stuff about announcements, new services, new products, and you pushing it out there in social media. Please remind yourself to take that content and post it within Google Business Profile. Now, I'm not saying to you that there's going to be people on their phones going, ooh, I'm going to go to Google Business Profile and I'm just going to swipe through them and see and look and look and look. That's not the case. However, if a customer does find your Google Business Profile, they're going to find so much information about you. And because you just shouted about on Instagram that there's a new member of the team, and you've now decided to add that to your Google Business Profile, what does that make it? More relevant, more up to date. And when it's more relevant and more up to date, then hopefully it'll be more prominent within Google. Again, updating, and that's what you, me, and Google thrive on, is up-to-date, relevant information. So please make sure that you are posting within your Google Business Profile. Once you have started to post within your Google Business Profile, once you've started to get reviews, once you've started to get direction requests, once you start getting phone calls, you're going to start to have a lot of information from your customers. So how do we now filter that out and understand it? Well, you're in luck. The Google Business Profile has something called insights. Very much like your social media platforms, you can jump into your social media platform. If it's a professional account, you can dive into the insights and learn more about them. For example, who are your followers? When are they online? Are they more male? Are they more female? That's a great point from social media. However, when it comes to your Google Business Profile, you start receiving traffic. People start active on your profile. Don't worry about squinting, by the way. It is a simple graph and it is a circle. And we've got green is for direct and blue is for discovery. So what these insights are telling you is how many people found you directly, who typed into Google your name, for example, found your Google Business Profile and then clicked onto you. Okay, that's going to be a small percentage. However, how many of those have typed in a similar keyword or found a similar business and then discovered you along the way? Furthermore, we can find out where customers are viewing your business. Are they going to be finding you through Google search, or are they finding you more through Google Maps? And if they're less in Google Maps, how do we improve that, for example? So these insights are really, really going to help you understand what your customers are doing when they do find you. And then you can improve on that and make sure that you provide the information to your customers based off what these insights are telling you. Quite remarkable. So we're pretty much close to the end. We've still got quite a little bit left. So I'm going to jump in to see if there's any questions coming in so far. We've got one from Enjoy, a question: where do you add that info in the Google Business Profile? Ooh, you found it in the post. Looks like Enjoy the Pause is actively working in their Google Business Profile. Now, I don't see any other questions at the moment. Again, we'd love to know your feedback, but hopefully you gain some valuable information in terms of how you get your business more visible on Google. This is not the only live training, so please go ahead and click on the link in the description below. There's many, many other live trainings that will support and lead on from today's session. Let's say, for example, you are ready. You have money set aside, you have some budget, and you want to start marketing and start getting yourself on the very top of Google. Click on the link in the description below. Find another live training called Get Started with Digital Advertising. Or alternatively, you want to think of more of a strategic approach, please keep an eye out for the digital marketing strategy and the social media strategy, which leads you on to your next steps. There's tons of live trainings that hopefully you will come back and have a little another training with myself, Kirsty, or many other digital experts. However, if you'd like to learn a little bit more at your own pace, I highly recommend when you go to the Google Digital Garage website, you click onto the online course section. The online course section will have a whole lot of online courses where you can learn at your own pace, but I highly, highly recommend a course called The Fundamentals of Digital Marketing. I've done it almost 3 times, not because I'm silly or dumb, but because every time I do it, I learn something new, and it gives you an understanding of, let's look at digital marketing. There are so many different ways to put your business out there, whether it be on Google, Google Business Profile, digital advertising, content marketing, social media. How do we do that? And once you finish that fundamentals of digital marketing, you actually get a certificate which you can highlight and show your boss or your friends and your family, or highlight in your CV, but it's going to enable you to understand the fundamentals of what digital marketing is about. If you are still struggling, we highly recommend, if you are in the UK, or you're a small business or charity, we would love to welcome you to these one-to-one mentoring sessions. So please go ahead and take down this link, which is g.co/UK mentoring. Whether it's going to be getting yourself more visible on Google, whether you're looking to improve your social media strategy, all I recommend that if you do decide to join these mentoring sessions, come with an objective. We only have 60 minutes, so we'll do our very best to help you, but it'll be very, very advantageous if you have an objective of what you would like to do. But hopefully we'll either see yourself or somebody else that you've passed on to this amazing initiative. But I'm going to go slowly but surely. I don't see any other questions coming in as of yet. Remember, please go ahead and book into those one-to-one mentoring sessions. And of course, we'd love to know your feedback. We've got a little bit extra time. I'm giving you a little bit of time back to fill in that feedback form. So please go to goo.gle/digital garage feedback. And we'd love to know what you thought about today's session. And then if you are active on social media and you want to shout about how amazing the Google Digital Garage has been or is, please go ahead and do so. Take a screenshot if you want to, or post whichever you like, but please make sure you hashtag Digital Garage, and hopefully we'll come across your post in the future. But thank you so much for those wonderful remarks at the end. If I can ask you all one last thing, would be amazing, is what was your one key takeaway from today's session? And if you could share that within the chat, that would mean the world to myself and Kirsty. But from today's session, we spoke about a lot of different things, but what was your one key takeaway that you are now going to action for your business, your charity, or your organization? Pop it into the chat. Myself and Kirsty would love to know. I'll keep an eye on the chat as we look to wrap up. But that's pretty much it for me. Many, many, many thanks for everybody and your attention. A big, big thank you. Make sure you look after yourself. Make sure you look after each other. And I would say bye for now, everyone.